Let's just share that real quick. I just realized this slide isn't shared. There you go. So on the right-hand side of your screen, you will find widgets for chat, messages, and Q&A. I will be on standby and monitor behind the scenes. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for this session, M. Love Tinker. Go ahead, Em.
Hi, everyone. How y'all doing? So y'all been doing like 2 days of this already. Y'all are here for the dance party. I love it. Hey, everyone. So I am just glad to be here. I know you guys are like ready to get out here. You've learned so much already. You're like, just set me free so I can go build all the things in my database. But this session is going to be a little less technical and a little bit more kind of metacognition. Let's think about what we're thinking about. Like before we go and we rush off and build all those great animations and download all of those great templates we have, we want to kind of give pause, right? Because we're at the end of a lot of our sessions. We've had some great skills labs, and we want to give you guys a pause. So in the spirit of Blackbaud automation and customization, just because you can doesn't mean you should. This is the remix, you guys, right? We have this session a couple of times a year, when we do BB Dev Days and have our workshops, because it's an important topic, right? Laura, if you would check for me, there are no documents showing. I think that someone's putting that in chat. I'll try to keep up with chat, but full disclosure, you guys, I am visually impaired. And so Laura is very nice in helping me make sure that we keep up with chat and Q&A. Thank you. And I did let her know that you guys couldn't see those. But I'm M. Love Tinker. As you guys have heard, I'm one of the Razor's Edge NXT senior consultants on the Blackbaud Advisory Plus team. So some of you guys have Blackbaud Advisory Plus. Some of your consultants have told you to come over here and check out BB Dev Days and just see, all the extensibility tools we have out there and what's open to you. When I am not doing Razor's Edge, I write for the Razor's Edge community blog all the time. I write lots of blog posts. Some of those have gotten turned into webinars. I think in this past 3 years, I've done more than 20 webinars for Blackbaud. So if my voice sounds really familiar, it's because you probably heard me talking somewhere else around Blackbaud, either in customer success or like, one-time webinars like this. I am passionate about all things nonprofit and especially passionate to be serving you guys, right? So I've worked in the field for several years. You guys have some awesome missions that you're executing on every day. And that's not always easy. And that's why we're here to support you. At least that's why I do what I do. Here recently, before I became a consultant for the Blackbaud Advisory Plus team, I worked for the functional expert team. And so that team gave demos and overviews. And in those 3 years, I got a chance to talk to more than 1,000 Razor's Edge NXT customers. So a lot of you guys kind of in those one-on-one hour sessions. And I got to peek into more than 400 or so databases. And I'm not saying it for humble brag, but I'm saying that I've seen a lot of stuff. And sometimes it's pretty scary when we're thinking about kind of automating the stuff, right? We want to make sure that if we're going to be automating anything, if we're going to be customizing, that we're going to use the fields that are available to us. We're going to clean our data first, and we're going to work through those pieces before we actually make those kinds of moves. So like a bunch of you, I'm a unicorn. I started out doing database and just uploading Excel spreadsheets into Razor's Edge for some organization. And then I kind of caught on to fundraising, and then operations was after that when I got my MBA, because I was like, hey, we need to figure this stuff out in nonprofits too. So I am committed to being a lifetime learner, just like the rest of you guys, and that's why I'm here with you. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to kind of unpack the ask. Like, what are people at your organization really asking you for when they ask you for a new report or a new action report or a new gift status report or opportunity status report? We're going to talk about, what's the state of your database today? Is it optimized where you feel like you can deliver that information? Yes, clean it first. Somebody put that in the chat. Love it. Can you actually deliver it, right? Is the data point there? Does it already exist? Is our security lockdown? Are the workflows that we do every day lockdown? Our operations we do every day lockdown, or is that pretty manual, kind of hit and miss, not as consistent as we like? And then considering some of the cost and compensation, right? You guys work really hard, especially DBAs. And I know sometimes in nonprofits, those are some of the lower paid on the spectrum folks, right? You guys work really hard. You're the problem solvers. You're the razor's edge wizards. You are the database gurus. And if you're going to figure this out and build automation and customization into your system, you should be compensated for that, or at least be able to make the pitch for you to be compensated for that. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So a little less coding and do this, do that, and a little more of, hey, I think I want to move forward, but I want to ask myself these questions first. So go to your polls tab, everyone. This is our first poll. I love giving pop quizzes. Unpacking the ask. What is the staff really asking for? Pop quiz. Why are you guys here? Why are you interested in customization and automation, guys? Automation. I want to know. Oh, I love it. We're getting lots of votes for someone requested another email or spreadsheet, and I think I might pull my hair out. That is exactly why my hair is braided today. Yep, didn't want to pull it out. I'm there with you. Love it. Some of you guys are reviewing your data stack completely. You want to modernize it. You want to update it. Great reason to be here. We need to put the I back into intelligence. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right. Keep those coming through. Keep them coming through, you guys. All right. And let's close our poll and get some results. See what we got here. All right. Laura, do you mind sharing the poll results with everybody? Thank you. All right. So it looks like reviewing your stack, and if somebody asks you for another email or spreadsheet, were the winners there. Which I love. Oh my gosh. You guys are so funny. I love it. I love it. I love it. So let's go back to where we were. I am like you guys, like two things I think we should do regularly, right? At organizations, when we're thinking about this, is we should definitely be reviewing our data stack periodically, and we should definitely not pull our hair out, because that's not a good look, right? We can't raise money if we don't have any hair. So let's talk about the ask and the kinds of things that you're being asked at your organization. So in this problem statement, we've got a new director of development, Dana. And so let's say that Dana is like, she's ready. She's going to hit the ground running. She's already started asking you for reports. She wants a quarterly side bump report. She would like to have those donors clearly tagged in your system, which is a request we hear a lot. If you are always being asked to tag things, drop that in the chat. Tag you're it. We're always being asked that as DBAs. I need to be able to tag these folks. She wants them enabled in a new Cybump workflow that they built. So she wants them to be dropped into this workflow so that they start to get these actions and these emails. And then she wants real-time insight into, after these folks are dropped into this workflow, have they actually been giving, right? But yeah, we know donor behavior is not that neat and tidy. And even if it is, we don't always have real-time insights because we're not storing it where we can find it really quickly. Uh-oh, did you guys drop in the chat, tag you're it? Because tag, you might be it. Uh-oh, let me go back one, because I think one of my slides is gone. There we go. So let's unpack it. Cybunts. So we mean donors that have given in some years, but not this year, right? And that's usually what we mean. Oh, you guys, I hope I'm still up here. We're tagged. What does she mean by tagged? Are they not already tagged somewhere in our system? Are we pulling the Cybunt based on gift data? Are we using the report under standard report? Did she just want us to add a tag saying that we added them to our Blackbaud workflow? What exactly is she asking us for here? Has she already created the workflow? Is it in Razor's Edge NXT, or are we going to use Power Automate for that workflow because we need it to be conditional a little bit more than RE NXT offers? And then last but not least, is the last gift for a specific set of constituents? So are we looking for people who are Cybunts last year, not this year, that fit into a certain category that we already have in our system? Is it members? Is it volunteers? Is it another set of maybe a leadership circle that we were running before? So we need a little bit more detail for what Dana might be looking for before we can even attempt to start that up for her. So Laura, if you will, launch our second poll for us. So pop quiz number 2, you guys. I got to keep you guys awake because it's Thursday and you've already sat through a lot of data courses. So what is the state of your current database? What does your database look like now? Right? What does your database look like now? It's pretty good. We kind of conduct regular audits. It's okay, we're working on it. And then maybe, only a few power users at your organization can find anything, which is common. Don't feel bad if that's you. And if you're the power user who can locate everything, kudos to you for having another brain in your back pocket and also having your hair still. And then 1 vote for what? We have a database. Somebody emails me everything. I love that you guys thought that was funny. I think that's funny too, but you would be surprised how often I do hear that. They're like, yeah, I never open the database. Jane emails me everything. So yeah, that happens a lot. So Laura, you want to share the results with everyone? You guys are fun. I love it. So most of you guys said it is pretty good. And then there are a couple folks who are like, there are only a few power users who really know where everything is in our system. So don't feel bad if that's you. Like I said, hats off to you for maintaining the system this long as is. All right, so let's talk through this a little bit because, and let me share my slide one more time there. What's the state of your database? So there are a couple of things that you should be doing before you even consider automation or customization, right? We hear this a lot. It is not a workaround for dirty data, you guys. So if you guys have dirty data, inconsistent data, lots of duplicates, lots of people who have never been soft credited for a gift, if you're not running at least Address Finder, right? Those are things we want to do. If your consistent code tables, your code tables, not consistent code tables, but your code tables aren't as consistent as you like. Sometimes there's a different meaning in a code table compared to what we mean when we say something. And then when you look in there, they're like, oh, I was asking for this. Well, that isn't a value I can pull on, right? And so it's a lot of figuring that out too. I wanted to put this quote up here because I was looking at an article and it was republished by Forbes. And it was talking about how often nonprofit employees are looking for new employment. And this is important because this is how our data becomes inconsistent a lot of times, right? If this has happened to you, put it in chat. It's me. We started this whole new program. We created all these table values, and then the person left within 1.5 to 2 years. And now none of those values mean anything to our new development staff, right? Or we never had a dictionary of what our code table values were. So when our old DBA left, we kind of just kept going the way it was, not really examining what those values meant. And so that's really important for you guys to think about. What's in your database that's inconsistent now, that doesn't mean anything to anyone, that's old data? Have you guys cleaned up any old prospecting information? So for a lot of you guys, we kind of start out with portfolio and then someone leaves and we don't keep up with it, right? So is the data consistent? Is it completed in a timely manner? Is it in my system? Are we already tagging people in a way that we can use? So are we either using an attribute or a constituent code? And we often have fights over how to use those in our system. Some of you guys have a million attributes. Remember, I looked at over 400 databases, and some of you guys have a million constituent codes, right? And so we fight over that, right? How are we tagging folks in our system, and if that tagging is still consistent and up to date? Is there already a workflow in place to get the information to the person anyway, right? Are they asking me for something that's already on a standard dashboard or something that I've already created as a query, or I'm already sending them as an output, but they're not reading it? Effective communication and knowledge sharing really plays a big part into stuff like this, because a lot of times I will find that people are asking for something and then someone else on the team in the call says, well, we do that. Are you not on that email chain? Are you not on this list for this? And so being effective communicators and making sure that we're sharing with each other what we're already doing. So you guys are not having to recreate the wheel every single time someone asks for something. And we end up with lots and lots, again, of reports and things in our system. One way to kind of digest what you're doing every day, and do we already have a tool for it, and that effective communication piece, is what are you already doing, right? What reports are you delivering up every single day, right? That people are either not reading, or they're like, can you add one more field to this? Can you create me another query for this? Or we already have a query where we just need to tweak one output value and share that query. So I always tell people, can you use a query or list for this? Can you use a standard report for this? Can you use a dashboard or dashboard builder for this? Maybe you've already created those tools and it just needs a little tweak. Or better still, maybe the person who's asking you for the information just needs a little bit of education on how to find that. And again, I know you guys' job is already hard as a DBA. You also don't have time to train the whole team. I get it. I'm there with you. But it's just worth considering before we create 50 different versions of the same report, query, export, whatever it is. Which brings me to my next point, continue training. I know. So I put this little quote on here because that's how I feel about learning. Now, I'm on you guys' side. I know everybody on my team is like, you're like, I sent them the class. I sent them the short e-learning video. I sent them to the new Blackbaud Razor's Edge Resource Center to get an even shorter video, and they still didn't watch it. But this is going to be really important, you guys, as we move forward with Razor's Edge NXT and we keep moving towards that unified view, even for us as DBAs, right? Because we are accustomed to seeing data in certain places. We know that there's a different lexicon with web view and database view. And so if we're going to be able to translate that for our web view users or people that we're using tools and forms for or delivering things through Automate and Power BI, we need to learn where those things live. Every time we release some functionality here at Blackbaud for Razor's Edge NXT, you guys might be aware, is that we are making the effort to keep up with those Sky API endpoints for you guys, right? Because when we turn something on, we want you to be able to access those endpoints. And those endpoints are constantly changing. For example, you guys might have noticed recently that the query connector came out, right? And so lots of you guys have already plugged into query. There were so many good sessions on how to plug into using query in the query connector when we build our workflows and things like that in Power BI and Power Automate. So as we release that functionality, it's going to be really important for you to keep checking to see what's out there. So not just for our teams, but for us too, as the DBAs holding the data bag, as I like to say. There's also Blackbaud Marketplace. So we kind of talked about Razor's Edge and the endpoints, but there's also Blackbaud Marketplace and there's the templates, right? And so you guys have probably become really aware of the templates over these last couple of days, but there's also some connectors that are already out there in the marketplace. So see what's available. Some connectors are a little bit more popular. Some apps are a little bit more popular than others. for Razor's Edge NXT, but I'm always a fan of trying to use what's already there versus creating something new, again, where I might be duplicating or either trying to get past that dirty data issue we have. As we roll out, again, the functionality, especially for Razor's Edge NXT, Blackbaud University has been updating courses. And if you guys have visited the new Razor's Edge Resource Center, there's actually those short videos at the bottom that shows you things like WebView Query. And so we're constantly rolling out those pieces for you to be able to look at. And then not just thinking about Blackbaud, think about other pieces of software that you use every day that you might have connected to Razor's Edge at some point, but now it's time for a refresh, right? A lot of you guys have heard about the Blackbaud Constant Contact partnership that's coming to Razor's Edge here, we expect later this year. And so that's going to change the way some of our Constant Contact users are using Constant Contact and the way we're using Razor's Edge email. There are a couple of other apps out there that you guys love and you've been integrating with your Razor's Edge for quite some time. You want to stay up to date on those. Another one that I hear about a lot is things like Cognito Forms, right? If you're using the Forms apps, you have to stay up to date on those pieces as well and how that's going to affect your customization or your integration, especially with your Razor's Edge NXT, as that is changing so quickly. All right, you guys, so let's get into security. I know, security, right? You're like, I don't know about that. So with security, you guys have learned that it's really important, not only once we get into building our automations and customizations, right? There's security there and those pieces there, the admin users versus the users and how many you need for any project. And you guys have been working through those over the last couple of days. But we also just want to think about security in general, especially when it comes to things like email. So sometimes we will find that people are requesting a lot of information via email. Sometimes the better thing to do might be to have it delivered to a SharePoint file and they can click on that link and they have access to access that particular file in SharePoint versus sending the whole file via email, which, believe you me, I see a lot of. Security groups, particularly in Razor's Edge. So one of the things that I notice when I'm looking in databases for you guys is that we hardly ever pay attention to our security groups. Some of my organizations, it's like lockdown. You guys are great. You're on top of it. There are security groups for each different role. And then in some organizations, everybody is an administrator. Everybody is an administrator. Everybody is a supervisor. Not secure, right? We really want to think about that if we're thinking about automation and customization. Because one, everybody shouldn't have rights to delete. They just shouldn't. I'm gonna put that out there. If you believe that there shouldn't be rights to delete for everyone, put that in the chat. Don't touch the delete. You can't touch the delete. I'm all for add and edit for some of our user groups, but as we build out those permissions in the web view, we want to be really intentional about that, right? So some of you guys might have noticed here recently in the web view, you can delete constituents, you can delete certain gifts. And so people are like, they shouldn't have had the rights to delete that. Kind of have to review our security, right? To make sure that people don't have the rights to delete this or that. The other piece is consultants, right? So a lot of you guys work with consultants, either IT consultants, fundraising consultants off-site, right? If a consultant is going to help you build your customization and your automation, you want to make sure that, again, you have the right security pieces in place for anyone that's outside of your organization and also for the transition to who's going to run this in the organization and make sure they have proper training to run whatever it is, right? And we're going to talk about that next. Kind of, the complexity of what we build really depends on if we can maintain it, right? If our users in-house can maintain that, or are we going to need a consultant forever, right? Or something like a retainer forever. And so we want to keep those pieces in mind too when we're thinking about security and maintenance there for anything that we build. So let's talk about cost and compensation, you guys. So when we think about cost and compensation, it's not just the price of, say, the license, right, for whatever we need. But we also need to think about, can we do it? Do we have time? Your time is money. Nobody more than someone who works for an NPO, a school, a foundation knows that your time is money. You guys are wearing 4 different hats as it is. Do you have time to adequately train, build, test, and manage what you're going to build going forward, right? And not only that, if something happens to you, is someone else at our org able to do it, right? We run into the situation a lot in nonprofits. Like we mentioned earlier, someone leaves our organization and someone, they're just like, hey, the person who was here before this set all this up for us. This is just how it works. No idea how to change it, no idea how to tweak it, that sort of thing. And so we want to consider that in our time and cost. Will you be fairly compensated? So I know, I get it. You guys are like, we're not out here making money moves, we're making power moves, right? You'll see what I did there? Power platform, power moves. But at the same time, you guys had better be making money moves, right? Your DBAs, your IT directors, right? If you're gonna spend the time planning, building, maintaining, training on some new piece of your data stack, then you should be adequately compensated for that, right? That's all I'm going to say about that one. I'm not going to preach to the choir on that one, y'all. So also you want to consider in these costs. So again, additional licenses, right? So do we need additional licenses? Do we need additional premium licenses for anything that we're using, not just Power Platform? So like we mentioned, like other connectors, do we need premium licenses for those or premium subscriptions to those? Do we need to hire a consultant? And so this is that whole complexity piece, because a lot of times we will build something or have someone build something for us. And then, like I said, they're out of the door, it's turned on, and it's more like something that's turned on and we don't know how it works, right? It just goes. And if it breaks, we're going to have to call that person back. So is this going to be an ongoing thing where they're constantly helping us? So is it an ongoing cost, or is it more of a project cost, where we're projecting out, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to train to be able to maintain this, and then at the end of the project launch, is that cost gone, right? So is it a project versus long time? And we want to consider that in what we build and why, right? Because again, we got to be budget conscious too. All right, you guys. So are you ready? That's our poll. It's our last poll here. Are y'all ready? I want to know. Are y'all ready? All right, let's see what we got. Lots of you guys are like, yes, extensibility. Here we come. A couple of you guys are saying you're going to take a few more classes. Lots of you are saying, I think so. And a few of you are like, nah, I'm still on the fence about the idea. I love that you guys are not deterred by our conversation today, because I think it's a great conversation worth having, because you guys obviously are moving towards the skill set and being able to use what you have, right, in the tech world. But we also want to make sure that we're, again, costing and thinking about those things as well. I'm glad that you guys aren't intimidated by that. Good deal. Good deal. So Laura, you want to share our results with everyone? All right. So you guys are feeling ready pretty much. I love it. Love it. You guys are feeling ready. So let's talk about getting started, you guys, because for most of you guys, you're ready to get rolling. You like, I've sat here for 2 days. I learned how to do this thing and I'm ready. I'm ready. Nobody's gonna drive me crazy with another spreadsheet or email. So how you get started? You guys want to pick a problem. right? So what is the problem that you are solving for? And you need to be really specific about this because you're not going to be able to solve all of the problems of the world right away. Maybe it's something like accurate, timely, insightful board reporting, right? I know that's a big thing on a lot of people's plate. Your board is asking for this. They never really had any good reports, or maybe they're asking for a lot and you need to build something a little bit more high level for them. Digital stewardship is always a big automation piece. And just because it's automated or customized doesn't mean that it's not like, customized and warm, right? But there are some pieces you can automate, especially for people who are peer-to-peer donors or donate more towards your events, right? Maybe building some digital stewardship pieces for those folks is your first foray into solving a business problem again and saving your team some time. How about the next part of that would be like building your case, right? So I know we're excited. We have a problem we want to solve, but you got to build your case. And that's where the money talks come in, right? Why are we automating this? How much is it going to cost us from beginning to end? And factoring in those pieces like training, maintenance. Do we have to hire a consultant, right? Are we going to start with a consultant, move on to our power users, and then plan for cross-training in the long run, right? So how are we going to execute on this when we build this out? Like we need to be detailed as possible. And then testing is implementation. So we built it. Does it work? Is it pulling like we need it to pull? Maybe we need to reconfigure something. And then what's the impact of this to your overall operations? Because you got to show impact. For example, lots of you guys have automated your acknowledgement letters weekly, every couple of days. And so the impact of that is how much time it saves your team to work on other mission-focused tasks. And so you want to build that into your messaging when you're building the case for your problem you want to solve, because you have to have a good business case for it. All right. So I don't want you guys to leave me. Stick around. I'm going to have Laura launch our survey. But in the meantime, while you're figuring out the survey, I want you guys to drop any questions you have in the Q&A. I'll take some of those while we have some time. And if I can answer them, great. If I can't, I'll point you in the right direction more than likely. But thank you guys for your attention. Again, I'm with Blackbaud Advisory Plus. If you haven't heard of that service, the website is up here. And I think it's under our docs too for our links there. But Q&A, drop it in Q&A. Take our survey. Let us know. A lot of you guys said you were ready to automate. You're ready to get it done. And so we believe in you. That's why we keep having BB Dev Days for you. We just want you to be aware of some of the pitfalls that a lot of our organizations run into when they get to this point. And we don't want you guys making those same mistakes. So again, why, when, how? You guys are going to do it. And then you're going to publish your templates in the community so other people can do it, right? Thank you, guys. Thank you. Again, take the time to take the survey. And Laura, if you will help me, if you will give me some of those Q&A questions, come back on stage and see if we have anything in Q&A. Oh, you guys are most welcome.
So I have a question from Janelle. Where do you recommend keeping the data dictionary?
So I recommended keeping it as a part of your policies and procedures manual. So lots of people will have the policy and procedure manual, and they will have kind of amendments for things like their code tables and even how-to guides as a part of their policies and procedure manuals as amendments or addendums to the policies and procedure manual. Yeah.
All right. And what is SIS? Can we request a specific Advisory Plus advisor?
No, you can't request a specific one. So what happens is if you sign up for the service, it's a certain amount of time, and then you're assigned an advisor based on your product that you want the advisory service for. So whether that's FE, NXT, RE, NXT, both, education management, so that sort of thing. And then it's based on the team that we have. So our manager will push those out accordingly.
Yes. And we have question about the presentation. We don't have it uploaded in the docs. Are you able to share that?
So I didn't share my slides because I figured they were pretty standard, but I could share those. If we will just take a note of anybody who wanted those slides, I can definitely make sure that we share those with you. And I see another question too about policies and procedures. So there's a good example, I think, on the community, Lindsay, but I can also make sure you get a copy of that too. So I'll work with the BB Dev Days team to see if I can get your email or connect, and then I can definitely send you one of those.
Brenda, after this conference, I am more convinced than ever that automation is the future. Of course, it is. If I do not invest in keeping up with the future, then I will become more and more less valuable to the industry market with each passing year. And my organization will also suffer for not keeping with technology.
I agree, Brenda.
Yeah.
I agree, Brenda. And then you're already so valuable, right? I think that sometimes as DBAs, um, we underestimate how valuable we are. So the first recommendation I would give about navigating for a small shop and advancing your technology is doing a tech audit. Like, what do we have? What are we using now? And then how manual are those processes that you're doing, right? The next piece would be either connecting to your customer success manager here at Blackbaud, because we can definitely point you in the right direction as far as Razor's Edge NXT and changing some of those processes. But yeah, doing a tech audit. What do we have now? Like, what do we have in house now? What are we using? What's pretty manual? And then go from there, because you might not actually keep everything that you have now. So it would be a waste of time to invest in learning that, because you're going to switch out to something else. So start with right where you are. What do we have? What are we using? What are we not using? What's a time suck? What's a bottleneck, right? What takes us forever to do, and why it's taking us forever to do, right? But yeah, Brenda, I agree. You guys are already so valuable to your teams. I think all DBAs should get paid millions of dollars, but that's just my opinion.
Well, then we have another one. Would love to know fundraisers report query dashboard building expectation.
Yeah, so expectations around dashboards, reports, queries. So what we have is learning paths for Razor's Edge that are broken apart by your particular role. And so part of that, as we transition to unified view, is showing you where those things are in the web view and showing you what's there versus what's coming. So the way we've been navigating that is we've been releasing, and then we had town halls. So like 2 weeks ago, we had town halls on advanced gifts, advanced reporting. And a couple months ago, we had one on query. So as we bring these pieces over to the web view, we're also retraining you on how the web view works with those, what's coming versus what's missing. The good thing about Razor's Edge is that there are a lot of standard reports already built into Razor's Edge. Not all of them will come to WebView, but if you go to the Razor's Edge Resource Center, you can see like the most used reports, right? And so that's the order they're coming over in WebView, like the ones that fundraisers and solicitors have told us they use the most, like live months, new donors, top donors, those sorts of things. With these standard dashboards, I always recommend that you get in there and play around, right? So the best way to learn anything for me is to actually touch it. So I tell everybody when I'm working with them in overviews and demonstrations that as long as the person doesn't have rights to delete to right, and not too many add and edit rights, encourage people to get in WebView as they're working through their BBU courses, right? Everything in WebView is clickable. So for the most part, you don't have to be afraid to click on a name, to click on a value, to click on a campaign fund or appeal, because those even have their own drill downs in WebView. So definitely get into WebView, keep up with your BBU training, and then there is the Blackbaud Resource Center. So you can actually see what is trending, what are trending topics for other people. And then the community is also, keep in mind, a place you can connect with your peers.
Do you have any tips for how to approach thinking about automation, since we don't necessarily know what the end features would look like? So this is between like the transition from database view to unified view.
Yeah. So with automation, the way you want to think about it is, what exactly are we automating? And is it something that we should be automating, right? And again, what determines that is it something that's taking a lot of time, right? Is it a big bottleneck? Is it something we're doing very manual? The example we talked about earlier was things like acknowledgement letters. Lots of you guys are still sending out physical letters, it's fine. But if you have 20 letters and I have to do 20 different mail merges manually, that's something I want to consider automating. And again, you can start with Power Automate. There are some templates already in the showcase for that. But it just depends on what you want to do and why. For lots of my users, the gift digest has been a big thing. People have been automating the gift reports because it has the clickable links to take them right back into Razor's Edge. So again, why do you need that? You might want to see the gifts every day, every week, every Friday, whenever. But again, you're getting that email. It's a simple list. It's clickable. I can go back into Razor's Edge from that gift digest in the template showcase. That's already there for Power Automate. So that's how you want to think about automation. What's taking me a lot of time? If, let's say, Laura is asking me for that daily gift digest or that weekly gift digest, and that takes me, 30 minutes or however long to pull together for her whole team every Friday, or an hour to pull together for her whole team on Friday, and email that out of Outlook, I would automate that. So that's how you want to think about it. What am I doing every day that's taking a whole bunch of time, that's manual, that I can automate? And things like, again, an Outlook email, sending a file to a SharePoint location where someone can pick it up, merging our acknowledgement templates for us because we got 50 billion. That's how you want to think about automation. Any other questions?
How about tips on security? So there's so many changes with security that any tips on how to manage that?
Yeah, so especially with Razor's Edge, and I'm going to speak mostly about Razor's Edge, you guys. With Razor's Edge, we know as we move to the unified view, you still get most of your rights for using Razor's Edge from database view. So first tip, and we talked about this a little bit on the slide, is that you want to review your security groups in database view to make sure that you are taking away rights for people who are no longer here. I never recommend deleting anyone, but again, go through your security groups. Do they still make sense? Are they granular enough, or are they too granular? Just recently here, I was working with an organization and people in their database were in 10 different security groups. So I was like, why isn't that person just a supervisor? And so, or why are they not an admin rights? And so those are the things you want to consider first with your security and database view. Then you want to move into WebView. As we turn on more features into WebView, and I get it, the security area in WebView is changing here. It feels like almost daily. But as we add more features in WebView, you want to explore the roles and permissions in WebView pretty regularly too, if you're a DBA. For example, when query came to WebView, you could access query if you had rights to access it in database view, but you can export it in WebView if you didn't have the export rights in WebView. And so that's why you as a DBA will also have to stay up on the security and what we're changing in WebView, because as we roll out more features, there's some things you might be able to do with WebView that you have to, click another checkbox for. And you were like, hey, I thought that worked if I just turned it on in database view. So it's a little bit of both there. Now, when it comes to Power Automate, Power BI, and connecting other applications to your system, I always recommend that you be really thoughtful about who's able to do that at your organization. So for most of my teams, that's usually your IT department, right? Because you already can't download whatever it was you were trying to download on your laptop the other day because IT has to do it for you, right? So I recommend still keeping that same approach. We want it to be someone who has the technical know-how about attaching the apps to your system and who can attach apps to your system and turning those on in the marketplace and in the Sky Developer platform. We don't want anyone to have those rights. So you want to be a little bit more thoughtful there.
All right. And then there's one in here that related to automation. If I build a flow, that's great. But will the person who follows me know how to? And if they don't, will that drastically impact the organization? So what's your tip?
Oh, yeah. That will definitely impact the organization. I can't tell you how many times that happens. Like someone tells me, well, someone built this and then they left, right? And so it's really important to cross train and have a couple of users that understand Power Automate in your flow so that you guys can kind of pitch hit for each other and everybody stays in the loop. So that if it's broken or if it stops and you're on vacation or you leave the organization, you get a great new role somewhere else, that they can still maintain that flow. We never want to build anything. And even as consultants, we have to think about that. We never want to build anything that's so complex that the organization can't manage that after we step out of that loop, right? Because that's useless to them. Because if it breaks or they need to make any changes or they need to update some wording, whatever it is, they're not going to be able to do that. So complexity and cross-training definitely plays a big role in how you automate and what you decide to do. Yeah.
All right, and I think we've covered most of the question except for downloading the slides. So we don't have that available in our doc session, and as Emmett mentioned, she'll follow up.
Yeah, I'll follow up with the BB Dev Days team and see if we can add those to our doc section, just so you guys can have a PDF of the slides. I honestly didn't think you guys would want these. I thought these were pretty like run of the mill. Like I said, it was kind of a remix of a session we've had before. But definitely, I will follow up with BB Dev Days and make sure we get those uploaded so that it will be available for you to download. And then Laura, if you will, there were a couple of people that asked about policies and procedures. I did want to make sure I got a template out to them. So if you can notate those folks for me, that would be great.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Laura. I appreciate all your help today. Thank you guys for coming to our session. This was a pretty popular session. I'm glad you guys stuck in here to Thursday. I'm glad you guys feel like you're on your way and you're ready. Again, if you guys feel like you might need a little bit of extra advice walking through things like your data cleanup and preparing your database for things like automation and customization, definitely check out Blackbaud Advisory Plus. We love helping you guys dig in. So thank you. Enjoy your weekend. Keep the dance party going. Bye. Bye, everyone.